been here since 2017, and we're going to be here. This is my last company I'm ever going to work for. So our entire team is dedicated to the growth trajectory of decentralized finance and the future, because, I mean, DeFi is the future of finance, period.
Yes, welcome back everybody to Altcoin Daily. My name's Austin. Today I want to share with you a conversation I had the privilege to moderate, host at Dcentral Miami, awesome conference, where I spoke to one of the leaders in this space, Giorgi, founder, CEO of Aurox. And I asked his opinion, number one, lessons learned from the FTX collapse. Number two, solving the pain points of DeFi. What are they? How do we solve them? And then three, at the very end, I ask, what is Aurox and what are they doing to solve the pain points of DeFi? Hit the like button to support me. Watch to the end.
But this talk is called FTX Falls and DeFi Rises. Go ahead, Austin.
Awesome. Thank you for having us. I'm honored to be with CEO of Aurox, Giorgi. Giorgi, how are you doing today, man?
Good, how are you?
Just to start it all off for the audience, how'd you get into crypto and what is Aurox?
So I've always been in tech, and in 2006, my partner got us into crypto. Made some bad calls back then, but then we realized that there was a lot of fragmentation, just data was all over the place. It was very early on. It was like FTX and some of those, now I guess smaller exchanges in retrospect. And we decided to apply some of the traditional finance side to it and create this all-in-one trading tool, which has data from all the different exchanges, all the analytics, and kind of like a Bloomberg for crypto, basically.
I want to get a show of hands from everybody out there in the audience. How many of you were affected or heard about the FTX fall? Giorgi, what was your take on the situation?
I mean, we didn't see FTX falling itself. I mean, FTX is a huge company, but we didn't see that centralized authorities were taking advantage of kind of the unknowns of what was going on behind the scenes. They were lending out, they were over-leveraging, they were trading against users. So it was coming, but the fact that it was coming from FTX was just mind-blowing. Especially after they were going around saying that they had $1 billion to invest and acquire companies, and all of a sudden they didn't have $1 billion to do anything. So it was a pretty big loss, to be honest. But it opened up fields for other companies.
So what's the solution to all this? For the people watching at home, streaming right now on Binance, for everybody in the crowd, from your point of view, what is a solution that arises?
It's going back to the core values of crypto, decentralization. I mean, Bitcoin in 2008 was founded because we didn't trust middlemen, or Satoshi, I guess, didn't trust middlemen. We wanted to eliminate the middleman, centralization, and we actually went complete 180, took cryptocurrency, which is made for decentralization, and now centralized it. With absolutely no regulation, no accountability, no nothing from these centralized authorities. So now we're seeing outflow of crypto from centralized exchanges, a lot of development in the decentralized finance field, and going back to those core values that made crypto great.
So core values for DeFi. For CeFi, do we need more regulation, different regulation?
Yeah, I think if you want to act like a bank, if you want to loan assets that belong to other users, even if they give you the permission, if you want to act like that, then you need to be regulated like a bank. It's that simple. These centralized authorities have a lot of control. They're using users' funds, whether legal with or without their permission, and that's a bank. There's no difference from that than a banking institution. So they need to be regulated, whereas decentralized finance, there might be some regulation there that might be necessary, but in reality, DeFi is everyone's acting as their own bank. So they know how they're going to send money, they know who they're going to send money to, and at the end of the day, they always have control over their assets. So with DeFi, the regulation, if it does come to fruition, it needs to be in a way that allows the explosion of development and adoption and everything else that comes along with it.
So crypto today, post the FTX, is at a pivotal moment. A lot of people are relating this to the internet bubble burst back in the early 2000s, late 90s. And a lot of people that watch my channel, Altcoin Daily, are asking, what's next? Where do we go from here? Specifically, where do you see the next few years? How do you see them playing out?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a pivotal moment for centralized authorities, in my opinion. Now that we're seeing this shift to decentralized finance, and as you mentioned, it's kind of like the internet.com burst because companies were insanely overvalued. I mean, FTX's valuation, what was it, like $10 billion? And a lot of other companies were valued at an insane amount, just like in the dot-com burst. But then you had companies such as, I think it was like WeVane or something, WebVane, which was like the early version of like Uber Eats. But they were so early, they were so overvalued from VC investments and everything that they couldn't recover from that dot-com burst. So some of these companies were just overvalued. Now they're having problems, but then you have lower valued companies that are working a lot on the technology, a lot on the decentralization, and that's really where we're going to see a huge push in the near future.
Giorgi, I want to throw you a curveball, okay? Elephant in the room, DeFi isn't perfect. There's many critiques to it. What are some of the problems you see in DeFi, and how do we get past that?
Yeah, so there's several of them, right? The first one, obviously, Luna was decentralized finance, and it crashed and burned and probably caused a lot of the contagion that's going on right now. But in reality, a lot of VCs did zero due diligence on Luna. If they had, they would have seen that traditional finance mechanisms built into it, things that have led, the 1980s crash and a lot of other things that have happened. And Luna literally took those mistakes in traditional finance and applied the blockchain. So it was basically a Ponzi scheme, and these VCs invested in them without doing their due diligence. Now with DeFi, though, the transparency and the flexibility that it has allows us to eliminate those and see exactly what's going on the chain and make it to where everyone is able to track assets, see what's going on behind the scenes, unlike what happened with FTX. So VCs need to control, act as the gatekeepers that they are, to eliminate these DeFi protocols from taking a foothold in the entire crypto industry. And at the same time, by funneling the good DeFi projects into the spotlight, now all of a sudden you have that transparency, you have that flexibility of what makes decentralized finance great.
Yeah, a critique I see with DeFi and also the value prop, it's sort of a double-edged sword. With DeFi, you have more anonymity, but sort of by definition, less accountability. So is that just how it's going to be from now on, or should things change?
No, I don't think it needs to change. It's just the accountability needs to be on the people that are creating these protocols. First, we need to make them accountable, and then we need to make the VCs or any large investor that's coming in and spending hundreds of millions of dollars, or I think it was $1 billion of Luna that was acquired by, I can't remember which company it was. Like if I'm putting $1 billion in a company, I'm going to do a lot of due diligence. So we need to be careful about the anonymity, but it's one of the positives of decentralized finance, because if it is a protocol, if it is a software that is transparent and has been built upon real use cases and real utility, then it should not be a problem in it.
For me, with my friend group, I'm the crypto guy, meaning people text me up, hey, buy Bitcoin right now, and I always have to tell them, I don't know, man, just learn what it is first, and dollar cost average. I think a lot of people on the audience, maybe you guys are the crypto guy in the friend group, people watching at home, streaming, and a big flaw that my friends tell me is, well, the UX UI is better on CeFi. I don't really know how to use the DeFi stuff, so that's still a big pain point right now. How do we get past UI UX for decentralized finance?
Yeah, I mean, look, decentralized finance is early. Even Bitcoin is technically decentralized finance. You're sending peer-to-peer transactions. Even if we take Bitcoin as part of the equation, it's only been around for a decade. And if you look at the internet, for about 3 decades, it was just a complete mess. I don't know if people remember, but back in the early 2000s, even in early 2010, it was like impossible to get online. You had dial-up, you had all spam, you still have spam and hacks going on. It took a long time to make that user experience better. But there are companies that are now realizing, hey, if we want DeFi adoption to take place, we need to spend a lot of time on the user experience to mimic user experience that looks like a centralized service, but in reality it's completely decentralized. So giving the users all the data necessary, like their charts, USD prices, eliminating, like I don't want to go to CoinGecko just to get the contract address of the token that I bought, import it into my wallet to finally be able to see it. And then sometimes it displays the US dollar price, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know when I bought it. I don't even know if the transaction that I sent actually went through. Like all those things need to be improved by mimicking the DeFi or mimicking the centralized experience. And there's a lot of companies that are doing it in a decentralized way. FIO, for example, FIO blockchain allows you to basically have memos for every transaction. I don't know how many times I've sent a transaction to someone, and then like 2 months later, I'm like, did I just get scammed? Where did this transfer go? Like, who did I send this to? But FIO, which we're going to be working with closely, allows you to have memos, like just like a banking system, where I can just type in a memo. I know what transaction that is, so I go back 10, 15 months later, I know who I sent that money to.
You are coming out with a DeFi wallet. To me, that means non-custodial. Is that correct? And how is the Aurox wallet? What problems does it solve?
Yeah, so we actually released internally about 2 weeks ago. We're doing a full-on release this week. It's actually live on our website. We haven't really talked about that yet, but people can check it out. And what we did is we literally looked at centralized products, Coinbase, Robinhood, all the centralized wallets out there, and applied the same mechanism on the front end while decentralized in the entire back end. So you can see your entire portfolio chart, which is missing from probably every single other centralized wallet product out there. You can have the tokens that are auto-imported. You see live price feeds for them. We're now adding like gasless swapping, which is like eliminating the need for having ETH in your wallet. And those little things, I mean, they're little, like they're just very simple things that we added, but overall it makes that entire user experience so easy.
Right now, obviously, the juggernaut, at least in this last year, was MetaMask. People also find a lot of problems with MetaMask, although it was sort of has the first mover advantage. I guess you kind of named a few things, but acquiring users, what's the game plan to let people know about it?
Yeah, I mean, MetaMask did a great job. They were the sole wallet out there for, I don't know, what, 3, 4, maybe 5 years for Web3. They paved the way. But right now we're seeing, both MetaMask and some of these other wallets, they're just kind of reskinning the same thing over and over again and re-releasing the same thing. What we're doing is just taking a complete 180, getting the product to, again, be as centralized as possible on the interface, but decentralized on the back end. And we think that this is going to drive more adoption, because now not only can we potentially capture some of their users, but we can capture the new incoming. Now all of a sudden people are withdrawing cryptocurrency from all these centralized exchanges, but they don't know where to go. And if they do, they don't know exactly what's going on with them. So by capturing that new influx of users, it's going to speak volumes for not only our product, but then it's going to allow more people to take advantage of decentralized finance in a whole.
Giorgi, I'm going to put you on the spot again. In this next year, and this is just for fun, but in this next year, 2023, give me a prediction. Nothing to do with price or anything, just how do you see the crypto market in general, whether it's DeFi, regulatory, whatever, trending?
I think it's going to be a very hard situation. FTX leveraged, celebrities, influencers. They put their logo on Miami Stadium. They did a lot of things that made it look legit. And now with that collapse, people are not trusting crypto. The general public has lost their trust. So we need to work ourselves out of that hole. And I think the way to do that is through decentralized finance. By telling the general public, hey, you control the assets, no one else does, it reinforces that trust. DeFi products need to open source their products, make it obvious that we're not doing anything sketchy. There needs to be audits, ongoing audits, and one of the things that we're doing actually is we've been on track for the past year to go public on a national stock exchange. So we're exploring, like NYSE and things like that, and we want to go public around the start of next year to give more credibility to DeFi as well. We'd be one of, if we make it in time, we'll actually be the first nationally stock exchange company listed, and that will allow us to bring even more credibility, because at that point we have a lot of things to do on a yearly basis, do audits, do answer to investors on the public markets, which is a lot more work than in crypto. So by bringing that trust, we want to spearhead this new evolution of decentralized finance.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I'm glad you saved it for Dcentral. Maybe you announced this on your website, but to drop that big news. I've seen you at the conference today. Are you going to be here tomorrow as well?
Yeah, I'm actually on a panel at 9:30 a.m., I think. Oh.
When people come up to you, because super approachable, very nice guy from, we just met today, but just to save everybody the first question, what is one thing you wish more people understood about Aurox?
The technology, honestly. Like my background is computer science. Our overall goal has been tech first. The innovation that is decentralized finance is just incredible, and we're just moving ahead with technology. That's the only way you can succeed in this business. If we go back to 2017, 2018, some of the giants now in like Compound, Aave, some of these huge companies, what they did was they developed, and then eventually released the product, and now they're billion-dollar companies. So Aurox is taking the same stance. We're developing new innovative products, and then the user is going to see that when they actually interact with our platform. So we're taking this in a very professional manner, where we're not the meme coins, and we're not the overnight companies. We've been here since 2017. And we're going to be here. This is my last company I'm ever going to work for. So our entire team is dedicated to the growth trajectory of decentralized finance and the future, because, DeFi is the future of finance, period.
As we wrap up, we have a few minutes left, and I encourage everybody in the audience, come up to us after, both of us, ask questions. But you gave us sort of the roadmap in the next year, potential stock exchange listing, other UI, UX developments. Looking 5 years down the line, what is the goal? Best case scenario, where do you want to be in 5 years?
We basically want to, a lot of people, when you ask them what does decentralized finance mean, a lot of people say, the openness and transparency and everything else, and although that's great, for us it's the automation. The fact that you can code a banking system, everything that a bank does, push it to the blockchain, and acts 24 hours a day, that is what really gets me going. Again, I'm from the tech side, so it's really the main thing that I like. I think in 5 years, we'll be able to replace some of the traditional finance sectors in just a year of development. Everything that's going on in traditional, like, for example, Uniswap's automated market, it's insane. It replaces market making on even traditional finance side. Like NYSE and NASDAQ could potentially write their own, and all of a sudden market makers aren't needed anymore. So in 5 years, that's what we want to do. We want to innovate, take what's out there in traditional finance, apply it to decentralization, and create a future traditional finance field, basically, that's all powered by.
Giorgi, my brother and I on Altcoin Daily, sometimes we like to end our interviews just big picture, not necessarily crypto questions. So for you, a book, a podcast, or a movie that you read or watched in the last month that you really liked?
Well, of course, y'all's Altcoin Daily YouTube channel.
You're a watcher?
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Honestly, the main thing is I just read more of the technical blogs. So for example, one of the most ingenuitive things that I've gotten involved in is Flashbots. A lot of people don't know the ins and outs of Flashbots. I really recommend everyone read it. It's going to come into play more and more over the next maybe 2-3 years. It is probably the most life-changing thing that's going to happen to Ethereum network in the next decade.
Where can the audience, besides at this conference, where can they find you?
I'm kind of hard to find. I don't have social media anymore, but you can find me in our Discord if you go to our website, getaurox.com. There's a Discord link at the bottom. Join it. I'm available as much as I can at this point, but I'm very interactive with our community because the first thing that we learned is your community is going to bring up the issues that are plaguing them, and those are the issues that need to be solved. So anyways, join our Discord. I'll be available in there.
Thank you. Round of applause for Giorgi. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.